Kawanak is an Athabascan word that means live air. The vision of Kawanak was started in the late 80s because of the lack of Native perspectives, news, music, culture here in the area where we talk about having Alaska's largest Native village here in Anchorage. And there really was no outlet back then to tell our stories.
November 30th, 8:31 a.m., and in mid-sentence, the earthquake hit. All I remember is a feeling of panic. 10,000 CDs are crashing to the ground, and I thought, it's not stopping. It's not stopping. And the plaster started cracking, and the drywall was shaking, and a big cloud of dust is rising. I was very much in shock, and of course, you don't realize it until later. I ran up to the facilities manager and said, I've got to get back in the building. I've got to get back on air.
After we were allowed to go back into the building, we could see that 80% of our equipment had been ruined because of all of the water that had saturated the equipment. So there was an impact, and rebuilding our station and our services is something that takes a whole community. And I think we are just getting started with the new stories. Being able to tell our own stories in our own ways is something that needs to be done every day.
Coming from your spell, coming from your spell, coming from your spell, coming from your spell.
Historically, the stories that have been told haven't always been told from an Alaska Native or an American Indian perspective. It's really incredible that we are capturing that information and sharing those stories of our elders with the next generation of Alaska Native leaders and with the public as a whole, so that they know what's going on in the Alaska Native community. And KNBA really does lend a voice and a platform for that to be able to happen.
We have Indigenous programming that shares the perspective, the philosophy, and highlights our presence. It's my conviction that the Native voice is going to be something that helps unite and heal some of the fractures that are happening throughout society. And that's where the power lies in. It's coming from our Native producers, coming from Native journalists, coming from Native storytellers. That translates into the spoken word, and the Native voice is carried out over the air. It's a wonderful time to be Indigenous.
It's so important for young adults and for kids to be able to see positive representations and people that look like them and sound like them in media. I think that allows our kids to dream of a future that looks like them. They see people that look like them, and that can be so powerful as they are choosing where they want to go and what they want to be in the future.
It's important that we look into and can hear the perspectives of our people so that we know what exists. We know how valuable our practices are, how genius they are in many ways. And it's absolutely critical that we continue to gain information through radio for Indigenous voices.
Native representation, having Native people implanted in all institutions, and namely media, to tell the story of us accurately to our kids, to ourselves, and to people who don't know us.
It is through the beautiful art of telling your story and knowing what you have been through and articulating what our story is. And it is part of our responsibility to open up the airwaves at Kawanak, because I think that we can make our communities better by healing through this storytelling.